So we know student loans are normal, and we know that most people have them laying around. I had them laying around. When I left my undergrad, I've told you guys about this before. I had student loan debt. Me and my wife subsequently paid that off within a few years, and it was completely gone. And we're in that debt-free place, which is an amazing place to be. It's where I want all of you guys to be. But I don't want you to make the mistake in the first place. I want you to cut it off at the source. Don't take out any or any more student loans and take some of these suggestions that I have for you today as to how you can get through a degree without them. So some people are lucky enough or are blessed enough to have had parents that saved up for their school or were able to cash flow their school as they went along, and they were just able to pay cash for their degree. And that is fantastic. And if your parents did that for you, then hopefully you take advantage of that blessing. You take advantage of that opportunity and get that degree and make your parents proud in that place. But there are actually anecdotal stories of individuals who their parents have enough money to pay for their school, but they'll take out student loans in order to do things that they should not be doing with that money. Student loans should go towards paying for school, not towards paying for things that you want to do in your own life. And so they'll just take out student loans just to have money in the bank instead of actually going and working for something, which is crazy in the first place. But then it is also not what we want to be doing. We don't want to be going into debt when somebody's already got this thing covered. So if you have the opportunity to have your degree paid for by your parents, then really make them proud, do it, and don't go into any unnecessary debt just because you feel like you are entitled to that money or need that money for some of your frivolous stuff that I know you're going to do on a college campus. But apart from that, let's kind of begin in this place where we know that every year, you go and you fill out your FAFSA applications, and that's where most people actually get the offer of these student loans from the federal government. It's after they fill out that application. But that application also covers grants of many kinds, and so especially the Pell grants, right? And especially if you're in a place where you are maybe your parents are lower income, or you may be a minority or have some type of reason that the federal government would give you free money in the way of a grant, then make sure that you are applying for aid in that way. Do not take the student loans that they offer, because they will offer them, but do not take those. Just see if they will get you any grants. See if they have any grants that you qualify for. And if they do, then for sure take advantage of those, because you do not have to pay those back. And one of the biggest reasons that student loans are not necessary that we don't talk about enough, because you want your child to go to the school of their dreams, or people go on these campus tours and it's a pretty campus, and I love this town and I love this place, and we forget that the reason that we're here is to get education. We're here to get an education. We are not here for the trees and the buildings and the nice tour guide that walked you around, and then you look and you're paying $80,000 a year for this school. It's just crazy talk. So the biggest thing that can keep student loans out of your life and prove that they are not necessary is to pick an affordable school. Pick a school that you can afford, or that you can likely cash flow in some way, or get scholarships to go to. I've seen people in my life several times pass up on scholarships to go to certain schools in order to go to another school where they're getting no scholarships just because they like that school. And I'm like, that is the most illogical thing that you could possibly do, but people will do it. Do not fall into that. Go to an affordable school, especially a school that will, maybe give you scholarships that other schools won't. State schools, maybe even start at a community college. And there's such a stigma around starting at a community college. And I know when I came out of high school, there was that stigma as well. You didn't want to go to the local community college. You wanted to, go to a 4-year school, and you didn't care what you had to do to get there. But at the end of the day, if you go to a 2-year school, and a lot of 2-year schools, it's very easy to get all of that paid for. And even if you don't get it all paid for, it's much more affordable than going to a 4-year university. If you can go get those 2 years knocked out and then go to a 4-year, you saved yourself some money, and you saved yourself a little bit of time to where maybe you could save up to go to that affordable 4-year school. And nobody's going to care that you went to the 2-year school, because guess what? On your resumes, it's just going to say you're going to be a graduate of whatever 4-year university you went to. It's not going to say anything about the 2-year school that you went to, because that is not relevant to most jobs that would require a bachelor's degree or things like that. So that is not an issue for employers. So why do we treat it like an issue? We shouldn't treat that like an issue when that's a way that student loans can be out of our lives, that student loans can be off the table and not an option. But for some reason, there's this entitlement of we should all go to 4-year schools. That just is not the case, shouldn't be the case. But unfortunately, that's the way that most people are choosing to live. And I mentioned scholarships and grants a little while ago. Listen, if you are a high school junior or senior and you're looking forward to college, and you don't know how your college is going to be paid for, then a way that you can make sure that you don't go the student loan route is to apply for as many scholarships and grants as possible. Because there are so many out there. There's so much free money to be had. There's so many specific scholarships that are for specific types of people, or just have very strict rules as to who is going to receive that type of scholarship. Whether you're going to major in something, or whether you're of a certain ethnicity, or have certain scores, or maybe you just have to write essays. Because a lot of these scholarships that you can apply for, they require essays for you to write the essays. Try to apply to as many as possible, and lo and behold, you will likely get some free money that you can take to school with you. And the same thing goes with grants. And most grants, like I said earlier, are for low income situations, or certain minority groups get grants more often. And if that is the case, then take advantage of all the free money you can get. Don't be ashamed of the free money you can get. Get it, take it, go to school, and make it the debt-free route. And now I want to get to the biggest thing that is keeping individuals from having a debt-free existence when they leave their universities. And that is, they're not working. They don't work. They don't make money. They don't do anything to make money to pay for school themselves. Again, it's the free riding problem. It's that cop-out of you can just get student loans and not work for them. Well, you're going to have to pay them back with interest. It's much better to just pay it all up front and actually work for it on the front end. And so, it's not that difficult at an affordable school to work your way through a degree. And if it is, if you're starting at zero, then it's okay to take a year or two and just work. Save that money up. If that's what you really want to do, save that money up, then go to the 4-year, continue to work, cash flow that 4-year school, or go to the community college and then to the 4-year and cash flow both. And I'm just saying there's no shame in that. And let me also tell you this, because this is the biggest argument against that. The biggest argument is, well, how do you have time to work and go to school? Well, that's typically said by people who spend a lot of their off time partying and spending their time with their friends doing all types of college shenanigans. And there's nothing wrong with having friends and doing things with your friends. But what are we here for? Are we here to get an education? Are we here to actually do this thing? Or are we here to make friends? And for some people, they may say, well, I'm here to make friends. Well, then you don't need to be taking out debt to make friends, right? You don't need to borrow money to make friends. That doesn't make any sense either. But just do what you can. Work as much as you can while you're at school. An employer is not going to care that much. Most employers are not going to care that much about the difference between a 3.0 and a 3.5, or a 2.7 and a 3.0. Get the degree. People care about you getting the education and getting the directional training that you need to have to do the job that they are going to require of you.